everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I am so excited to announce this week's guest speaker, Diana Gremillion. And she is a international speaker, a trainer, a master life coach who helps entrepreneurs live the life of their dreams with less stress and more joy. Diana is the founder of Successful Life Strategies, and today we're going to talk about how to skyrocket your success in 2021. Welcome, Diana.
Hey, Leanne, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be so much fun talking about what it is that's coming up. I mean, we have a whole new year. Many of us did not accomplish what we had hoped in this year. And so I think there's so much opportunity and so many people right now who are looking more than ever for what they can be doing in this time.
Exactly. So I know we're just going to get straight to it. I know you have this amazing event coming up, a totally free virtual masterclass coming up. Can you tell our viewers about it?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a free masterclass. It's called 3 Secrets to Mastering Your Results. And it's intended for ambitious entrepreneurs. So these are people who've already reached some level of results in their own business and in their own life. And what they're looking for is to get more done and for it to take up less time and to be less stressful so that they have more time for the things that they really want to be doing. So that's what it's all about, is how can we find more time? How can we become more efficient and effective at what we're doing so that we can have more time for the things that we really love?
So that masterclass is when?
It's this Saturday at 9 a.m. Hawaii time, and it's 2 hours. It's totally free, and if you're interested, you can register at successfullifestrategies.eventbrite, eventbrite.com.
Right. So this Saturday, 9 a.m., 2-hour free masterclass, reachable or registration on your website or Eventbrite. Yeah, I think a lot of us know about Eventbrite. Hey, that's so awesome. So we've had a few questions as we were, people were wanting to ask when I was promoting that you were going to come on, and they wanted to know about your expertise. So we're going to just tackle them. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So the first question we received was, what specific areas do you focus your coaching on?
So typically when my clients come to me, they're looking for an impact. They really want to make an impact in their business, but then there are all these other things that they want to make an impact in as well. So they're typically highly like career focused. That's really where they want to see some benefit, but they also recognize and have a feeling that, man, if I just keep digging in and investing more in my career, is it going to come out of all these other places, out of my health, out of my relationships, out of my quality of life? And what we don't realize is that sometimes that hesitation that we have because we don't want to lose that quality of life, which we deserve, we can actually hold ourselves back from hitting that next level of success. And the thing is, it doesn't take all that hard work. You can actually get more done with less stress, with that free time that you want, and with all that. And it actually is possible to have it all instead of having to choose. And that's what I help people do, is recognize how can they have not only the success that they want in their business, but also how can they have the success that they want in their life? How can they be complementary and work together to create something that's much richer?
That's awesome. Yeah, that makes so much sense, because a lot of people, we have this all or nothing mindset, right? Like they think they can only do all or nothing and be all or nothing in one thing. So I hear a lot of people talk about, especially like with the women that I work with, they spend a good amount of their years focusing either on career or family, all or nothing. And then they let food and fitness kind of fall to the wayside. And because their belief is they have to give all this to this one thing. So you're saying is you're able to teach these driven and ambitious people how to kind of like achieve it in each area that they so choose. So having that balance with career, family, hobby, passion.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's so many times, right? The way that we do this, it has less to do with working harder and everything to do with working smarter. And the real difference between working hard, right? Sometimes we're just drilling away in our business, doing the same old thing that we've always been doing, and it's hard work, but we're not necessarily moving the needle in our business. And so what I help people identify for themselves are, what are the needle moving activities that I need to be doing so that I can focus on those? and I can be even more effective, right? Instead of just wasting all of this energy doing, kind of like on that hamster wheel, the rat race, right?
Right.
Instead of just expending, I think you even talk about it, almost, it's kind of like, when somebody has a thought that if they just do cardio, like just keep moving, they're going to lose weight. It's
Yeah.
actually ineffective, right? Like there's a
Right.
way where you can be more effective at losing weight if you strength train. And it sounds counterintuitive, but that's what I start to show people is it's not about the action that you think you need to take. It's about being more effective with the action. So doing just as, like in using the example of cardio, doing as much cardio as you need, but realizing that there's other things you got to do that will create long-term longevity.
That's so true. One of the gals that I use as a mentor, her name is Joe Coleman. She always says, she's always asking us, are you spending all your energy and time working in your business or working on your business? And it's like two words, right? In and on. And you don't really think about it until someone gives that to you and you're like, oh, yeah. And most of us are just busy working in our business. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so second question. Why did you decide to become a life coach? I mean, maybe give us some back history. Did you like go to school for this, or was this like a lifetime passion of yours?
So since I was a little kid, I've had a passion for training and leadership, and mentorship, and it stemmed from the fact that I'm a big sister. So I'm a big sister to a younger brother and a younger sister. So always had that kind of like big sister vibe to me, and
So really, you're an oldest.
Yeah,
an oldest child. I'm an oldest too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we have that natural like want to care for somebody kind of feeling, and you want to mentor and like bring people up who are, maybe just a few steps behind you. And that carried even through into my high school, my college days, where I was doing a lot of mentorship. But I honestly I had a completely different career path in life. So when I was in high school, I thought I was going to become an investment banker, and that was the route that I chose. So I went to business school, got my degree in finance and accounting, then went to investment banking, did that up until the global financial crisis. And then I ended up losing my job. So this is a kind of a long story, but like it all comes together and it's kind of crazy. So I lost my job in investment banking, and when that happened, I kind of asked myself like, okay, well, what's the next step? Like, do I go back to get my MBA? What do I do? And I had this voice that told me, if you go back to school, you're going to culinary school, which was weird because neither of my parents knows how to cook. Like, my mom doesn't know how to cook a hot dog, like boil it, gets confused. That's her. And my dad doesn't cook at all. So it was weird that I had this passion for cooking, but I couldn't deny it.
Right.
When you work as a banker, you work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, and it's nothing to you. And I would work those days and still come home and have enough energy and desire to bake or to cook. And I was like, there's something special about that. So when I heard that voice that told me, if you go back to school, you're going to culinary school, it didn't make any sense. I thought it was crazy, but I also knew enough to listen to it because I was like, there is something about cooking that's special for me. What is it? So I ended up becoming a chef. That's where I ended up meeting my husband, Brian. He works as a chef still. We lived all over the mainland. So we lived in San Francisco and New York, cooking. And I had no intention ever, as you can tell, of being a life coach. This was not something that I ever wanted. And like the way that it came about was I got really stressed out. I had a really bad issue with like my health and chronic pain and chronic illness and stress. And I realized I had to do something different. So I started working with a life coach. I was telling her about how I wanted to change my whole life. I was going to leave New York, move to Hawaii, start my business, do all these big dreams that I had. And she asked me, she was like, well, like, as you think about your business, have you ever considered becoming a life coach? And I told her the truth, which was, no, that's a fake job. I'm a chef. I'm not a life coach. I'm a chef. And I had a lot of resistance to the idea of coaching. There was a part of me that felt like it wasn't real, even though I was using a coach. And I resonate and understand people who don't quite understand what life coaching is, because I think that's a lot of different people. And that's okay if people don't understand it. I think.
Right.
And so there was that piece, but then there was also like the recognition, she was like, okay, well, why don't you just do a little bit of research? Why don't you read a little bit about it and see what you think? And as I read about it, I realized, like, wow, this is a way that I can combine all of the different skills that I have from my childhood, the mentorship, the leadership, the presentations from being an investment banker, the speaking in front of groups from being an investment banker, but then also the hands-on work that I got to do when I was working and training in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that was one of my very favorite things to do, was the hands-on work, because you can show somebody how to take an onion and a potato and transform it with their own 2 hands into something that's amazing.
Right.
And now I get to do that with people's life. I get to take their meager ingredients, their cheap onion, their cheap potato, or maybe it's a bitter moment in life or something sour that happened to them. And I get to show them how to take all these ingredients that they have and with their very own 2 hands, transform it into something that's completely amazing and that they absolutely love. So that's what I get to do with people, is like, I use my, both my like kind of conceptual, more academic knowledge, quantum physics and all these different things. But then I also use a lot of my hands-on approach for my past career as a chef to really help my clients. And I think it makes me a really unique life coach, because I can kind of talk about transformation in all these different ways with people. So yeah, totally unexpected. Never ever expected I would become a life coach. But now, instead of just transforming ingredients, I get to transform lives. And wow, what a gift that is to be able to do that.
That's such a gift. Yeah. So that is a thing too. I think that you don't really realize it unless you're in it as like a coach in some capacity, but you could be a very like scientific textbook, highly genius, IQ, straight out the gate coach, but you could have no people skills, or you can have no, emotion or no empathy. And then that totally comes across when you're working hands-on. But I love how you listen to your body's signals. I always preach to clients that, and it took me my whole life practically up to this point to really tune in to those signals, those little messages your body is giving you. But it's unreal how we sort of parallel, because I spent over 10 years in the advertising industry, and then I got super sick and burnt out. And then I said, I'm going to do fitness full time. And it almost like it took like a crisis to make a change. So it's unreal how you like went through the same thing, and that you like pursued it full force. Because a lot of people, I think, wouldn't do that, right? They're like,
well, they get stuck in the crisis.
Yeah.
They get stuck with the rotten ingredients, and they're like, look, this is rotten. Look, it's rotten, right? And the thing is, right, if you look at it, a lot of ingredients, some of the things that we think are the most delicious are really a controlled rot, right? If you look at coffee, it's fermentation, right? There's a fermentation process. Chocolate, fermentation. Right? So many of the even cured meats, cheese, all fermentation. It's all controlled rotting. It's a process that by which the food is technically going bad, but you're actually reversing it and using it as a transformation. So our rotten ingredients in life, like how rotten COVID is for some of us, that doesn't determine what's really possible for us. We can turn those rotten ingredients into something else.
That's a great, because we can all mostly relate with food, right? I mean, food, especially in Hawaii, food is such a connector, such a social thing that when you can explain it to somebody, like, so even my parents, they're so like, sometimes they're like, what do? People pay you to tell them to exercise, they're so like, so if I get to break it down in some kind of food, like they would be able to get it better. Or I remember too, like, they're like, you like ride a bike like for fun, not because your car is broken. There's just like one track one. But okay, that is such an awesome story. I'm getting like chicken skin. So what's the biggest challenge that you've helped one of your clients through recently with COVID? Since everybody's COVID brain now.
Yeah. I've had a lot of clients I've had clients who've lost their jobs and started a new company. I've had clients who their whole business was shaken up and they had to start and kind of pivot. And what I really do believe is that anytime that there's an ending, there's got to be a beginning, right? It's not just the ending. There's got to be something else that begins. Yeah. So when we see an ending, what do we want to create in that space? Instead of just creating by default, what do we want to create? So I actually had one client, he was in the wedding business, He was in videography, and when COVID hit, all of his clients canceled on him. Like,
Mm.
all right, well, what do you have available to you? What can you do with what you have? And he recognized he had a bigger dream. He'd actually wanted to get out of that wedding industry. It hadn't been really serving him, and there was a bigger dream he wanted to follow. And I was like, well, what if this was your chance? And he decided to take that leap. So he had produced a movie, and he'd intended to share that movie. He was going to premiere it at the Chicago Film Festival and a couple other
Wow.
festivals on the mainland. But with everything that happened, it turned into a virtual premiere that he did. And in his virtual premiere, he was able to like generate tons of people who watched the movie. I think he said maybe like 70,000 people were able to watch the movie. Something crazy.
That's
like,
crazy.
just insane. And
Yeah.
because of COVID, right? All these people were unemployed or not working. A lot of his cast for the first movie that he'd already like pre-produced,
Yes.
right, and like premiered, he realized many of them were free, and he was like, what if we create a sequel? So they actually created a sequel in the middle of COVID, and it's coming out on Christmas Day during this time when most movie studios have nothing coming out because they didn't
Right.
plan or do anything with this. My client is premiering his second movie during this time. So
That's so amazing.
it's completely the opportunity for us to shift our mindset on, if this isn't happening to us, this is happening for us. So how can we find good in this? How can we decide to reinvent, to rebuild, and come back even stronger? And I'm a big believer in that and I think you are too, and from your own personal crises, right? You can transform them.
Definitely, definitely. And it's also good because I think most people, they really need like someone like you in their corner, so to speak, to kind of like give them those gentle nudges, to kind of give them that confidence and that kind of belief that, with a little bit of support and a direction and a plan and a positive attitude, that they can actually, they can pivot and they can come out of, like you said, make rotten food be amazing.
Yeah, rotten ingredient. Yeah. But like what's crazy too, I think, is that it doesn't take as much time as people think. So these are transformations that I have with my clients that happen in months, right? So if somebody works with me for a month, I know that by the end they'll be feeling different. If they work with me for 3 months, I know that literally by the time that our 3 months is over, so say somebody started working with me today,
Mhm.
if they started working with me today, 90 days from today, so say sometime in February, say it's February 10th, by February 10th, 2021, they would be in a completely different place so far that they would actually need a telescope to look back at their old life. And I can say that with full confidence. I've done it with every single one of my clients, and the only piece that's not for sure is if the person who I'm speaking with qualifies as a client to work with me.
Right. So then they go through an assessment with you then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what does like a coaching relationship look like? Is it something that is like, depending on what kind of access to you that they want, or is it pretty standard where you're like checking in with people multiple times a week? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I have a couple different ways that I do coaching. So I have some clients who are kind of independent study and they just need a check-in. So we
Okay.
have twice a month weekly or twice a month coaching calls with that group. I also have some clients who just want to do group. If somebody only wants to do group with me, that's usually about a week's, like an hour, for however many weeks they want to kind of continue. I usually don't really like to work with people for fewer than 12 weeks, just so that they can really see the full transformation.
Right, right.
But that's how it works. It's about an hour session every week that they would get in group. And then if somebody works one-on-one with me, if they work one-on-one with me, they get one-on-one meetings every single week, 30 minutes for 13 weeks at least. And if they're working one-on-one with me, they also get bonused into a group. And the reason that I do this is because there's a feeling of like camaraderie that develops.
Yes.
And like it's one thing to be able to transform your own life. It's another to see that while you're transforming your life, other people's lives are transforming with the same system in completely different ways. And so there's like this fun, like inspirational energy that kind of comes through everybody, because it's like, yeah, she's got a breakthrough this week. She's got a breakthrough. This one's got, and so like there's all these this momentum that builds as everyone feels the transformation happening for all of them at once.
Right. I totally believe in that, in a group dynamic. Because, like you, I do one-on-one, I do
Yeah.
only check-ins, I do hands-on, I do group. And yeah, there is something special about a group dynamic. And I belong to a lot of different coaching groups myself. So I love that there's a group of like-minded people that at least serve as a sounding board that can relate to me, because we're all trying to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
a lot of my clients, because they're hardworking entrepreneurs and they run hard and they run fast, not many people can keep up with them. So what happens for many of them is they feel like they run alone. And I felt like I ran alone for a long time. And that's part of why I create the group, is because I want these women to see that they're actually not alone, and that there are many people who run alongside them and are go-getters and are ambitious and goal-oriented and are on fire too. And that fire, like having people who are on fire with you instead of people who are always just like you're the only one who's like out here and everybody else is back there, just lights everybody up more, because it's like, yeah, I'm running with my crew. I'm not leaving people in the dust. I'm running with my crew, and we inspire each other.
That's amazing. That's great. So the final question for today, and it's more of a personal question, because we kind of always try to leave with a personal question when I bring a guest speaker on. But so what is your vision for your best life?
Yeah. Actually, is it okay if I share this from the health perspective?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you know this about me, but not everybody does, which is that I struggled with my weight for almost my whole life. And part of the reason, Leanne, that I chose to work with you was because I saw that you understood that beyond simply movement, there's other pieces to the success piece when it comes to your health. And for me, one of the other big pieces besides movement, moderation, for me, mindfulness. One of the ways that I work mindfulness into my own practice with my clients is through visualization. So there's this understanding that our mind thinks in pictures, and so we want to create a vision of the health results we want. And the way that most women do this, the way that most people do it, is they have a weight number in mind, right? Or they have a size in mind.
Yep.
But as I've kind of done my own transformation work and worked with visualization, it's the recognition that actually that size doesn't make you feel inspired. You've been that size before and not felt happy with your body. You've been that weight before and not felt thrilled with what you looked like. You didn't feel confident and happy like you really want to. So how do you really want to feel about your health? What's the body that you want really look like? You don't really care if the number says 125 or 115 or 175 if you look in the mirror and you feel confident. So what would it look like? I create a vision not of like, oh, I weigh this weight, I'm this size, but instead I walk past the mirror and I smile and I love what my body looks like, and I have tone in my arms and I have tone in my legs and I have tone here, and I smile when I see myself, and I feel confident when I go to the beach, right? And I feel confident when I'm wearing clothes that I want to wear, because for so long there were clothes that I didn't feel like I could wear even if I wanted to. So I built a vision of me feeling confident and comfortable in the clothes that I wanted, and really thinking about who I wanted to be in the body of my dreams, instead of thinking about what the scale is going to say, what the size is going to say. And I found that as I let go of what the scale says and what the size is going to be and all that stuff, and just worked on loving me and loving the confidence, that really has helped me shift my health vision. And I just want to thank you as well for helping me continue to work and further my health vision, because you're a big part of that for me, Leanne, and I really do feel grateful for you.
Thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, that's my whole purpose, as someone who struggled with my weight as well and has done a lot of different extremes and distorted behavior. It's always a work in progress, right? And I'm a big proponent on helping my ladies like really realize, like, despite like you said, the number, the size, that are you sleeping better? Are you moving better? Are you balanced? Can you go out and have a good time with friends and enjoy your meals? Are your blood markers okay? How's your blood pressure? How's your job, your business, your relationships? And I try to really hone in on that. All of these are wins, like health wins, right? And that once we can settle this, create this really great foundation, the weight, the size, the body, that it'll come. It'll come. But everybody usually does it reverse. It's chasing the weight, the size, the body.
Yeah.
And they think, by doing all these things, once they get there, they'll be happy. And like, no, it's far from the truth that you're happy, because that doesn't equate what you think it will be, which is happiness. But that's so awesome.
With my workshop this weekend, like I really share that it doesn't, everyone thinks to start with action. It doesn't start with action because like we said, those cardio queens, I used to be one, right? Like I had that a little myself, right? So I recognize that, but like that's us focusing on the action and not understanding how important the mindfulness and the moderation is in creating the quality of life we have. And so that's really in alignment, Leanne, with what I teach, because I teach it comes first from thinking. We'll first rearrange your thinking, create clear and coherent and strong thought so that you can have strong feelings about your body, right? So like I said, like I see this image of myself looking this way. I want to feel this way, and I just work on thinking and feeling that way so I can take the action with ease.
Well, I think we may see, foresee a possible collaboration in the future.
I would love that.
A retreat or something that we could do.
I think it's
to empower all these ladies around us.
I love that. Yeah, we could do like a 2021 health vision.
Yes, we will definitely talk about that. But thank you so much for your time. Let our viewers know where to find you, like how to get in touch with you. And let's just do a quick wrap up again of your free masterclass this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check me out on my website, successfullifestrategies.com. You can also go to successfullifestrategies.eventbrite.com for any of my events. And on Instagram, I'm Successful Life Strategies, or my full name, no space or periods between it. And then on Facebook, you can look me up by either Successful Life Strategies or my full name also. And I love connecting with people on social media and throughout. So if anybody here is an entrepreneur who wants to get more done even faster and even easier, I'm all about that. And so my masterclass this weekend, 3 Secrets to Mastering Your Results, Saturday, November 14th at 9 a.m. It's 2 hours, Hawaii time. And you can go to successfullifestrategies.eventbrite.com to register.
So awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leanne.
You're welcome.
Aloha, everybody.
You're going to press like pause or okay.